Hi everybody, welcome back to Arma 3, welcome back to the Spearhead 1944 DLC. And what I thought I'd do in this video is just walk around and show you some of the assets that we get with this DLC. In terms of the things that we like to use to get around the map, so planes, vehicles, tanks, that sort of stuff. But also, because you probably already know if you've watched any videos about Spearhead 1944, is that there isn't that much stuff. Well, that's what people are saying, but there is actually quite a lot of stuff. So what I've done is I've also loaded in a load of assets from other World War II mods, so you can kind of see what is going to be available when the community starts creating their scenarios and missions and all that sort of stuff, because undoubtedly they will include their things as well. So if you're kind of getting the impression, well, there's not that much stuff in Spearhead 1944, trust me, there is actually quite a lot, and there'll be even more when people use all this other stuff as well. I've just spawned into the Normandy Map. Here we go, we've got a couple of thunderbolts flying overhead. I've got the ambient war noises on, and here we go. So, aeroplane wise, all we're getting on the German side is the Focke-Wulf FW, is it the Focke-Wulf 109, I think, is that one? And then on the American side we get the Thunderbolt, kind of ground attack aircraft, because obviously you're going to be spending a lot of time doing that sort of thing here. But don't worry about that, there are plenty of other World War II aircraft that we're going to be able to use from different mods. And what we're going to do is we're going to go through the sort of German stuff first. And on the German side of the sort of vanilla official stuff, you kind of get the Stormtrooper camouflage stuff, which is the stuff you can see in front of you now, and then you get the normal Wehrmacht stuff, which is the stuff that you see on the right. I can only think that really they mean SS, but they don't want to use the term SS as they're going along. So you can see we've got the German half-track that comes in a few different flavours. We've got the Opel Blitz truck, again that comes in a few different flavours. Here we've got a anti-aircraft version of it, which obviously you could use as anti-personnel as well. There's kind of a normal truck there, and then we're into the first of the tanks. Now I'm probably going to get some of these names wrong, because I'm not that great with the names of World War II equipment, but I think these are Panzer 3s, I could be wrong, and I think this is a Panzer 4 with like the side armour to protect it against sort of RPG type things. And then we have the Tiger, so that's a Wehrmacht Tiger here, and here we have the Stormtrooper Tiger, and it looks absolutely fantastic. I mean, I'm running this on high settings. I guess if you're running on ultra, it'll look even better indeed, but they do look very, very, very nice indeed. And then we've got all of the fixed position sort of weapons, because with this DLC, you know, we are fighting through Normandy. The Germans are on the defensive, the Americans attacking, and so we've got this kind of self-propelled gun there, artillery piece. We've got this anti-tank weapon, another anti-tank weapon, the feared 88 here. Look how cool this does look, anti-tank and anti-aircraft weapon. Let's have a look around the back. So much detail, look at that. And there's another version of the 88. This is, I spawned in some sort of machine guns as well, so you could see those MG34s or 43s. And here we've got this is the pack gun, looking absolutely marvellous. So they're all the modded stuff you can see all lined up down there. So let's go back over here and let's go through the kind of vanilla stuff that you get on the American side. And also there's the French sort of free army stuff as well. So this is this is a towed anti-aircraft weapon. Here we have I guess that's a 50 cal. There's a mortar. There's the Americans' anti-tank gun, and of course here we have the Shermans. The Shermans come in a few different flavours. We've got like the Nebelwerfer version, or the rocket launcher, and then we've got I'm not quite sure what this one is, but he's got his spare road wheel on the front. Same one with this one. And these are the tank destroyers. So these have the big guns of the tanks, but they're much lighter. And often there's a bit confusing about tank destroyers and what a tank destroyer is, because sometimes people think, oh, isn't a tank destroyer just like a Stug or like a self-propelled gun, like a Jagdpanther and stuff? Well, a tank destroyer though could be a tank destroyer. You know, a Sherman could be a tank destroyer. This is a Hellcat, I think. Is it a Hellcat? Is it going to let me? Yeah, that's a Hellcat. And this one is a M10. But basically, a tank destroyer is anything that is designed to kill tanks, and not really as a completely offensive weapon. Because the idea with tanks kind of is that they're there to support offensive actions, aren't they? So you want to go somewhere, you want to take some objective, so you have to have a tank supporting infantry. And it trundles along. Generally, it has heavy armor and a big gun, and it can take out not only tanks, but it can also use high explosive shells against infantry concentrations and against bunkers and that sort of stuff. Tank destroyers, on the other hand, are designed to just do that. So that is destroy tanks. So these things, like the Hellcat, was designed to have a big gun, but also be very fast. So it's got lightweight armor. So the idea is that if you were under attack from the enemy, and the enemy included lots of tanks, you could quickly move your tank destroyer force into position to ambush those tanks, and so they could move around very, very quickly like that. That's the idea of things like the Hellcat there, or obviously with things like Jagdpanthers, they're basically just anti-tank bunkers, aren't they, with tracks on that you could just dump somewhere. So even a field gun could be classed as a tank destroyer. So that's quite interesting. The idea of having them fast and manoeuvrable is that you could keep them in reserve, and then if there was an attack by the enemy, you could very, very quickly get them into position. And then we have the half-track. Obviously, you get lots of different flavours of this. And that's it really for the vanilla vehicles in 1944. So you do think, well, okay, so where's the jeeps, and where's the little I can't remember what the German one is. However, I'd imagine lots of these things will be coming to the game before too long, because just like with the Prairie Fire DLC and the Cold War DLCs we've had for Arma, these DLCs stay alive. More and more stuff gets added to them, and remember, they have to produce these C DLCs at a particular time. So I'm sure there's lots more content. I bet we even see more maps as well as stuff like that. So these mods, what I'll do is I'll put a link in the description below the video to the various mods I've used to spawn these in. And most of them look pretty cool as well. So there's a little universal carrier, which is used by the British. Here we have, of course, the Willys Jeep. Very cool. A covered Willys Jeep. An ambulance Willys Jeep. The mighty Churchill. Looking very cool. This is the Sherman Firefly. So this is the... Again, I'm not that au fait, but I think this one had a bigger gun, so it was better at taking on the German armour. Here we have just a normal American truck in covered and fuel versions. Here we have, I'm not quite sure what they call this one, M3. So it's like a big armoured car. This is the Greyhound, I think. Greyhound, yeah. Which I guess it's an infantry support vehicle, is it? Though I'm pretty sure there are stories of them destroying German tanks. And here we have another kind of armoured car. And this one is the Stuart tank as well. Right, so before we go and have a look at the other aircraft, let's run back and let's have a look at some German armour. Look at these. They're iconic, aren't they, the German tanks? They're iconic. So, the Kubelwagen, that was it, isn't it? So here we have a modded in Kubelwagen, kind of in desert camo. Here we have the Whirlwind, anti-aircraft or anti-personnel, looking very, very good. You can kind of see the detail isn't quite the same as we got with the vanilla Spearhead 1944, but it's still pretty good. Now, here we go. The Panther. Look how big they are compared to the British and American tanks. But I mean, the advantage the Germans had, they didn't have to ship these things across the sea, did they? Across the channel like we had to. So very nice. There is the deadly Panther. Don't really want to... I guess, would they have been... I'm not sure if they were in Normandy. King Tiger. Look at this thing. Very, very scary indeed. Again, I don't think these were I would have to check where they were. I'm not that much of a buff on the actual armoured units. Not many of these have entered the war, but obviously, looking at these, you've got the difference between the Allied and the German attitude, wasn't it? With us, it was all about making as many tanks as we could that were workable, and we could get them into the field. Whereas the Germans over-engineered stuff. So although they were, very effective when they worked, they just couldn't make enough of them, and arguably they were just too big. And there we have the very popular Stug, Czechoslovakian. I think it started off with the Stug, doesn't it? It's got a kind of a fan base of its own, sort of self-propelled gun, anti-tank. But I mean, the Germans, obviously in the war, especially by 1944, were using whatever they had to do whatever they needed to do. So it wasn't always the right vehicle for the right choice. Okay, so aircraft. So let's go through. And then we have is it a Nebelwerfer? A Nebelwerfer, yeah. So fires basically rockets. And here we have the German aircraft. So of course the ME-109 went throughout the war. This iconic yellow cone on the front. Then this is another Focke-Wulf. A Focke-Wulf 190. But not quite as detailed as the Spearhead 1941, but still pretty good. Now this little baby, this is the Heinkel 162. I probably got this wrong, but this was one of the last ditch fighters that the Germans tried to make right at the end of the war in order to try and take down some of the massive bomber streams that were coming over from England to blow the crap out of Germany. Nowhere near as capable as something like the ME-262, but obviously it's just got the one jet on the back, and by this time in the war as well, is the Germans didn't really have that many experienced pilots left either, so your chances of actually surviving, I'm not sure how many of these actually got airborne and how many kills they got, but it's quite fun, it's quite interesting to have it in the game. Now this baby, these were used as night fighters a lot, the Ju-88. But quite an imposing looking aircraft. And then we have the Stuka. Look at this thing. This is amazing. I think there's also mods that you can have that turn on the scream, so that when you dive in to do a dive bomb with this aircraft, you get the screaming noise as well, as it goes in. So let's run down here and let's look at some of the modded Allied aircraft, because there's loads of them. And now I haven't either bothered to include the Japanese or the Russian aircraft that are often in these mods as well. So what have we got down here? You can probably tell already. So right at the end, pride of place, we have the Spitfire. These would have been in the airs, wouldn't they, above Normandy, flying around, doing combat air patrol, looking out for the Germans. Very nice indeed, lovely and shiny. And this, I'm going to get it wrong if I tear, an SBD. I think that's a kind of Pacific warfare aeroplane that the Americans used on carriers. Again, I could be wrong though. I could be wrong. P-51 Mustang, iconic aircraft known for supporting being a bomber escort, and this one's got the D-Day markings on as well. Guess they would have involved in lots of ground attack as well. I think this is a Hellcat. I could be wrong though. Let's have a look, see what it is. An F4F. Okay, again, this is a airplane that I think normally would have operated in the Pacific. So whether you'd really want that in your Normandy missions, I don't know. The Mosquito. These would have been out and about causing hassle, wouldn't they? Going after bombing targets. The all wooden. That looks great, doesn't it? Look at that. Twin engine fighter, incredibly fast, could fly incredibly low, did amazing things during the war, the Mosquito. And this is a Corsair, I want to say. Is it going to let me see what it is? I think it's a Corsair. Again, an aircraft more suited to the Pacific campaign rather than Normandy, but I spawned it in anyway because a bit of fun. Here we have a glider. I think this is the American glider. as well that they would have used on D-Day and in Market Garden. And one of these is a Horser. This might be the Horser. This might be the British glider. And that might be the American one. Pegasus Bridge, that sort of thing. DC-3 transport aircraft with his D-Day colours on. Fantastic. Absolutely marvellous. And then we have the I can't remember what that one's. That's like the vanilla one, isn't it? That we had the yes, I can't remember. And this baby, you get a lot of these in some of these. This is, I'm not sure what aircraft this is, but it's an American one. Maybe it was a very early war aircraft as well. But interesting. So, how cool is that? Let's go back to the Eden editor so we can fly around a little bit. So there we go. So as of one day after the release of 1944, that's a look at most of the assets that you'll get for fighting each other in the game. As you can see them all, let's come over here like that. And when you actually see them like this, you know, there are loads, aren't there? There are loads. I think the main things that are probably missing that we would want to see at launch would have probably been like the Jeep, wouldn't it? You'd want the Willys Jeep and the little German Jeep, unless they are in the game and I've just missed them. If they have, I do apologise for that. But I think you'll agree, you know, all it takes is some community-made missions or changes to the vanilla missions that include some of these assets, and it really does open up the possibilities of what we will be doing and what we will be playing with them in Spearhead 1944. Look at these amazing aircraft, don't they look cool? So anyway, I hope you have found this video useful. Hopefully it's kind of made you think about getting the DLC, especially even if you were thinking, oh, there's not much in it, you can see. And also, the thing that I always try and remember to say is how cheap this DLC is as well. Let me just make that smaller. You know, it's only at the moment £13.49. I mean, that's nothing, is it, for supporting the developers and Bohemia Interactive and the Arma devs as well. So there we go. If you've enjoyed the video, hit like. If you want to see more of the same, press subscribe, and I will of course see you again soon.